Alright, we're back with another algorithm video. This video will cover the problem given a string, find the longest set of characters that do not repeat and return its length. So, for example, we're given this string right here and we want to return whichever substring in here is the longest and doesn't have any repeating characters. So in this example it would return 6, that's the length, and the string this. Alright. So let's look at the algorithm we can use to actually do this. Alright, so our algorithm, first off, will loop through the characters in the string, and we're looking for a matching character. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to start as 0 actually, and move through each character one by one, and we're going to check if that character is in our known characters vector. We're going to have a container that stores all the characters that we've seen so far, and we're going to check if it's there. If it is there, then we're going to set our current start and stop to whatever indices we have currently. If it's not there, then we're going to set the current stop equal to the string length, because we are assuming that we didn't find a match. Alright, and then after that what we need to do is actually compare the length of the substring we just found to the longest substring that we have so far. And how we do that is the current stop minus current start is greater than the longest stop minus longest start. And if it is, then we'll just change the longest start and the longest stop to whatever these currents are. Alright, and then our third step is to basically check if we're going to loop back around. And how we do that is we check if the remaining characters that we're going to loop through is greater than the length of the longest string we have. If the longest string is greater than the amount of characters we have left to search through, there's no point in searching because we're not going to find another string that's longer. Alright, so let's go ahead and work through an example here. Let me get rid of all this stuff. Alright, so initially everything is going to be set to 0. And this container that we talked about is going to be empty for each loop that we go through. So we're going to start here at C. C is not in our container, so we push it in. D is not in the container, so we push it in. B is not, A is not, but D is. D is already in here. So what we have to do is record this index here. That's our stop index. So we go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4, so we change the current stop. And then what we have to do is check if the longest string or our current substring is greater than the longest substring. So how we do that is the stop minus start, 4 minus 0, is greater than the longest stop minus the longest start, 0 minus 0, which is 0. It is, so we change these numbers to whatever these numbers right here are. Alright, so 0 and 4. Alright, and then we have to check if we're looping again, and how we do that is we have to find the matching letter, so the start letter, and remember our letter that we found a match for was D, so we find the first letter of D in that substring. So how we do that is we basically go backwards and find the index. So we go here, here, here. We found the index at 1, so we set our current start equal to that index plus 1, so 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So we're starting at 2 now, and we're gonna do the same process. We're going to clear our container here and start at B. B is not in the container, so we push it in. A is not, D is not, C is not, E is not, but B is. So we record this index 0. It's at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we mark 7 here at our current stop. And then we do our comparison. 7 minus 2 is 5, which is greater than 4 minus 0, which is 4. So we reset these indices to whatever we have in our current indices. And then we have to check if we're looping again. So we have to find that start index. So we go backwards through our substring and find the first iteration of the character, which is at index, it looks to be 2, so we reset our current start to 2 plus 1. because that's our rule, which is 3. And then we go through again, and we just keep doing this until that condition down here is broken, and then we return the string. So I'm not going to go through all of this because that would take quite a long time. Let's go ahead and actually look at the code. Alright, here we are. We have two files. We have a header and a driver file. So here in our driver, what we're doing is calling all the functions in our header. So let's look at the header. So we have 3 libraries. We have the outstream, string, and vector, and we're using the namespace standard. So we have 3 functions. We have a get string. This is simply getting the user input what string we want to work with. And then our second here will go in depth after we look at the third. Our third is the main method, our algorithm basically. So there's a few steps. First off, we need to initialize our counters and our flag and our container that we're going to be using. Now we go into the loop. We're going to be looping while that condition, if the remaining characters is greater than our longest substring length, we're going to do these steps. We have 3 steps. So remember, our steps are basically find a match and then check if that substring is greater than the longest substring, and then check if we're continuing. So here's our steps. We're basically doing some nested for loops. We basically clear our container so it's reset, and we reset our flag, and then we go through each character of the main string until we find a match. And this loop right here is basically going to that vector that we have and looping through all the characters, seeing if we have a match for the current character in the string. And then what we're doing, if we found a character, we're basically right here finding the match to it before. So I'll show you real quick. If we found a B, we're basically going backwards and finding the first B. And we'll show you that function. That's our second function up here. And we're just doing a for loop, but notice how we're going backwards through the string because we don't want to say here, let's just say we have another B here. If we're looking at this substring, we don't want to find this B. We want to find this B. That's why we're going backwards. Alright. Moving past that, we're basically breaking that loop because we don't want to keep looking through our container. And then we're basically using our flag to break our parent loop, and we're setting the current stop equal to whatever index we're at. And then if we don't find the match during that for that specific character I, then we're just pushing that character into our container. Alright, so and then there's one more condition. If the character wasn't found, that's when we're assuming there is no match. So we're just setting the current stop equal to the length of the entire string minus 1 because of how array indices work. That's step 1 of the algorithm. Now step 2 is basically checking if the new substring is longer than the current one or the old one. So how we do this is just a condition statement. We're saying if the current stop index minus the current start index, so our substring length, is greater than the longest substring length, and if it is, then we're resetting those longest indices. That's our second step. And then our third step is basically checking if we're going to continue, and if we are, we need to set a new current start, so we start at a different index. And how we do that is with the string length minus the first character that we found plus 1. So what we're doing here is basically, if we found this match, we're retracing our steps to the first character and then adding 1, which will make us start at A, and we'll start looking there. Alright, and so that's the third step, and then the while condition is just the same condition as our third step condition. And notice how we're using a do while loop because we need to do this algorithm at least once. Alright, and then we're simply returning the substring in that string. And how we do this, the method for substring the parameters are the start index and the amount of characters you want to add to that. So we start with the longest start, and the longest stop minus the longest start gives us how many characters are in that string, that substring. Alright, and then back in our main, we're simply calling that method, and we're printing the results here. So let's go ahead and run this. Alright, here I am on LeetCode, and we're looking at the question, and they give us a few example inputs, so we'll just test these out. I'll copy and we'll run this program. It's already running. So we'll run it, and it gives us the longest found is ABC with length 3. Let's look at the answer. The answer they have is length 3, and the answer is ABC, so that's good. Let's test this case. So it's just 5 of the same characters, so let's rerun this here. Alright, and we'll input that, and we get the longest found is B, and the length is 1, and that would make sense, and that's the right answer. And then the third one we'll do really quickly. Let me restart this execution, paste that in there, and it gives us WKE, and the answer is WKE right here. There we go. So this algorithm works. Try this on your own. The source code will be on a Git repository, and I'll leave the link in the description. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.